Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Captain Shack here, and welcome to the Pegasus Expedition. This is a title that just came out of Early Access, is now actually out over on Steam. We're going to be taking a look at how the game plays, the design philosophy behind it, and how it sits in the world of 4X strategy games, because that's what this is. It is a 4X title in the vein of everything that we played since the 90s. You know, probably the most popular one of today is like Stellaris. If you're looking for exploit, expand, explore, and exterminate, that's what the 4Xs are. The Pegasus Expedition is a little different, though. It's focused on a story that it wants to tell. It actually has a kind of linear story to it, at least at the first quarter of the game. Let's go ahead and dive into the campaign, and we'll talk about what makes this one a bit different. Now, you've got your main campaign that you're gonna be playing. Once you get a certain point into that, you'll actually unlock the Purge campaign, and then there's a series of scenarios you can play around with. But the main campaign is what it's all about. We're gonna dive into that, and we're gonna turn on, when I first played this wasn't an option. Use all fleet combat modes, meaning we can use all the fleets at once instead of having to do the fights one at a time. All right, let's start it up. Now, in this title, and I'm gonna be skipping through some of the cutscenes just enough so you can see some of the voice acting or hear some of the voice acting. But we are playing as humanity, one of the factions that are fleeing Earth from the colossals that have been rampaging through our galaxy. We are making a desperate attempt to dive into a new galaxy. The Pegasus Expedition has begun. We're diving through a gate and we have no idea what's on the other side, but it has to be better than Earth and where we're at now because the colossals are coming and wrecking everything. I'm gonna go ahead and hit escape so we can dive on into the actual campaign. Welcome to the galaxy map. Let me zoom out so you can see how big it is. Right click and hold, you can rotate the camera around and see what's going on. Don't worry, this is going to get populated with all kinds of interesting stuff. The UI should be fairly reminiscent of, like I said, every 4X game you've probably played in ages. Resources in the top left, and kind of including like PopCap and your happiness level for your empire. Also something called Galactic Reputation, which is this one I find very cool because this will change how you fight in combat. All right, our quest is to establish ourselves. We're the first group of many to come through the portal from the Sol system, and we need to establish a foothold here so that our people can survive. It's a desperate situation. It's very reminiscent of something like, you know, Battlestar Galactica, the last of humanity is trying to survive. All right, so let's go ahead and move out. We've moved our fleet and we've started our first little story cutscene. Now you're gonna have a ton of these throughout the campaign, introducing all of the characters, and they're gonna give you the perspective of the characters, what they represent, and the fleet commanders, which they haven't like shown yet, they haven't introduced yet. But this is how you're gonna get a lot of your story, including little conversations with them individually. I'm gonna skip through these. There is some voice acting, but it is only in the cutscenes in between chapters. Which you will hear at some point as we go. But we can choose a few things here. Basically, we're saying, hey, we need to establish ourselves. And then we run into, hey, we've made contact. There's somebody else out here.
It took 9 hours. 9 hours in the Pegasus Galaxy, and we were at war. They didn't fire warning shots. And we weren't going to take it lying down.
So a lot of the story is played out in these little motion comics style, and that's going to be where you get your voiceovers, and the rest is going to be text. And there is quite a bit of text. There's even bonus little story elements that'll pop up in the right-hand corner, and you'll probably see some of these as we play through this a bit. Now, this is the combat, right? This is how you actually fight, and I'm always curious about how the next, 4X game is going to handle fleet battles, because these are normally the weakest elements of a lot of strategy titles when it comes to 4X games. I'm looking at you, Stellaris, and a few others. Well, this one's kind of cool. One, you have to choose your battle formation. You can choose how your fleet comes in. These formations divide the fleet, and you can rotate them to dictate where they show up. Now, the glowing dots represent the enemy force as it stands. They have all their defenses wrapped up in the center of this solar system. So what I'm thinking is we're gonna double down. We're gonna split the fleet in 50-50s. Here's the fleet build up right now, and we're gonna have them drop in. Now, after we choose our battle formation, we choose the plan. Now, the plan goes from being the free tier, which is being cautious, or go into assault mode. You can see there's little bonuses there. If we do a cautious advance, it slows down our movement, but also lessens the damage we'll take. Movement's a big deal, though, if we want to send in reinforcements from one sector to the other. This is a fairly simple fight with only 2 orbits that we need to fight over. If we were worried about not winning this, we could bump it up to a plan tier 2, which is going to use up some of our minerals. The way that I, like my headcanon is that we're using up like rapid dominance. We're using up a lot of maybe ammunition that has to be rebought or rebuilt, and so we're using up those minerals. And then if we get into tier 3 stuff like lightning strike, 50% movement speed, 18% damage, or that's going to eat up some of our rare earth minerals, which are a little bit harder to get. And right now we have no income. We're going to keep this on. Let's do damage reduction. I believe we outnumber them pretty substantially. At the bottom, our last choice we can make is our morality. Now we can go by all means necessary. This will open up things like nuclear weapons. It'll also hurt our galactic reputation, which is right now all the way over on the diplomatic side. And I'm sure that's gonna affect our story as we go. I'm gonna say minimum casualties. That way, I imagine minimal casualties represents being careful not to hit civilian targets the best we can, maybe take more prisoners, that kind of deal. This will actually gain us galactic reputation. Okay, last few things that we could do. Contaminated munitions, overdrive. We don't have the research for this yet. What we can do is stand our ground, basically fight to the end. We have to hold here, which could be key, and it has been key in other playthroughs that I've done so far. And then run them down. We need to take as many of them out as possible. Do not let them escape. This will hurt our galactic reputation, but it could offer us up a closer or a faster victory in a war if we make sure that their ships can't fight in the next battle. Let's go ahead and start the combat. Once the combat starts, you can see there they are. They start coming in. I can even launch missiles. We'll see how these two fleets get on. We are winning both battles. I'm going to send missiles over to this side. That means long-range missiles will be fired or launched from our capital ships and make their way over. It's also the same way that the nukes work if we had access to them. Let's fire some more. It looks like they're all firing from here. We can zoom in. You can see some of the animation. You can see some of our capital ships, right? Ships of the line, the actual capital ship or the flagship firing away here. And there's a little bit of customization that we can do with those fleets. We are going to win the battle. You can see the top. Once we hit that bar, it's a morale break. And they should flee. They'll start opening up little portals and run away. There they go. Little tutorial mission. They dropped us right into this fight. But it gives you the idea of how it works out. So we're having a conversation about, okay, did we just start a war literally within 9 hours of showing up? Was that really the right thing to do? Now, even though we do have some things that we can say here, it's not going to change this part of the story. I've noticed it's very linear. It's building up and feeding you the story as it goes. And the decisions that we're really being able to make is our galactic reputation. Now, we built that back up. That means that we will be able to use some of those nukes if we need to, but we have started a war. And now that we've taken this piece of territory, this solar system, we can see all the connected sectors around it, and we've started a war with Roar Clan. That's what they're called. If we look over at our side quest, Lifeline, hold the Zoka system, and get further into the Pegasus galaxy. We only have one fleet at a fleet power of 138, and we have a garrison slowly building up at a fleet power of 15, and no incoming resources. Let's go ahead and end our turn. You want to keep an eye on your side quests and your main quests. I'll give you an idea where the story is thus far, so you can press it forward. And we're going to get a little bit into the story that kind of establishes the galaxy today, and how the combat works. We'll have a few more combat moments. You can even see how well dug in some of these systems are. We can figure out where we want to hit next. Now that we've gotten a beachhead, it's time for the rest of the fleet to arrive. Welcome to Chapter 1, The Shiny New Horizon.
This was it. We were here with very limited time and nearly endless pressure from home. For better or worse, this was our final plan.
I'm going to go ahead and skip the cutscene there, give you just an idea, a little taste of what they are like. All right, our allies have started moving through the portal, and we should have the other nation states or other ancient alliances coming in. I'm going to bop right through these. Very well, give them the go-ahead. Let's bring them in. Our fleets have arrived, and we're going to establish the new factions. Now, I like this idea quite a bit. So we have what I believe is the Americans. Yeah, this is like the North American Alliance, the first expeditionary fleet, who has moved in and taken over the sector over here at Vekhi, I guess, and Shikho. I wish they would have renamed these instead of having the alien names, you know, have like New York or something, and then whatever alliance that this group is supposed to be with. But they've come through the gate. We've also got a few fleets that have joined us with the rest of our fleet. We are the Zeus Link fleet, which is like the European Union kind of buildup. Let's go ahead and start these fights. Now we can auto fight, we can flee, or we can fight. If we flee, we will take damage, 15% damage. If the fleet still has movement remaining, if they've moved so far that they're exhausted, then they will take 50% fleet damage, which is considerable. Our fleet power is 256 on one of the fleets and 138 on the other. You can see there is some damage here on the fleet, and we can, if we want to, we can expand our fleet buildup, and we can see exactly how much damage we've taken, what the fleet makeup is. You know, we've got our artillery ships here. We've got our actual flagship, which is an artillery ship. We got a lot of artillery mixed into these two fleets. A couple of carriers and a couple of frigates, and that might dictate how you fight, right? Artillery ships, I've noticed, can fire from one orbit to the next, and you might want to take advantage of that. Another thing that we can do, we do have a little bit of resources, so I'll use some, is we can go under equipment. Oh, we can't once a fight has started because this is kind of tutorials, but you can add equipment to the fleet, giving them certain specializations. You can also rename them if you want to. We can rename right here, rename the fleet if you have that as if you want to tell that story, right? Follow that fleet throughout the campaign. All right, let's go ahead and fight this. We're not going to auto-resolve it. Fighting is fun. I actually quite like the combat on this one. So the enemy is well spread out, and they've actually got quite a few ships here. How do we want to play this? There's a couple of ways that we could do it. We could try to hit them all at once. We could try to divide up. We could go in on one side and dominate one orbit and then move on to the next. But if we do this, we will have enemy reinforcements coming from the other areas. I quite like the idea because we outnumber them. Let's overwhelm them. I want to hit every location at once. Can we pull that off? No, we can't. This orbit right here is just kind of obscured. So we'll hit it like this. Let's do a surgical strike. And I'm gonna save the by any means necessary for now. I don't feel like that we need that. Can we zoom out just a little bit more? I wanna hit all of them at once, except for the one we can't. Cool. Let's start combat and go. We will use the nukes, don't worry, that is coming soon. When we find an opportunity where I feel like we really wanna use it. Maybe we have a weaker fleet. So our interrupts are, we could fall back at a certain area, tell everybody in orbit to run, or I'm gonna fire missiles here. 2 badges of missiles are on the way, long range. Nice. That'll weaken up this and maybe keep them from sending reinforcements anytime soon. We've got more missiles that could be launched. Uncontested, winning battle. Let's send some more here just to weaken this up some. Our long range missiles. Yep, 9 hours into the Pegasus Galaxy and a war has started. Our reinforcements have arrived. We are engaging. 75% fleet strength, and we are gonna feel that. We're gonna have to repair these fleets at some point. Okay, victory is ours. Nice. Now, as things get a bit more desperate, we may wanna start running them down, because notice some of their troops did fall back, and they will have the opportunity to repair. I've gotta think about that, you know, how much is my galactic reputation worth if I don't win this battle, win this war quickly? All right, we've got more fights. This is all part of the storyline. We'll go ahead and auto-resolve this. It's only a 19. Even when you auto-resolve, it still plays through the battle. It just does so at super speed, and it does the interrupts on its own. And it seems good enough, right? It's not Empire War bad when it comes to auto-resolve. This one, we're gonna fight because we are outnumbered. There is a garrison here. Some systems, even our systems, have garrisons, ships that hang out and defend those areas, and we can upgrade those garrisons, and they build up over time. We can also put in defense stations. We'll up the garrison as well, but they can't be moved. In this instance, they don't have a garrison. It doesn't say there is. You will see that in fights, even though there is one listed here. That's weird. Normally it says the 214 plus garrison, but it doesn't for some reason right now. Anyway, let's start the fight. We're gonna control this one. Now we are outnumbered, and I don't want to lose this fleet. I don't want them to get too beaten up. So I'm gonna say we're gonna win this by any means necessary. We're gonna do lightning strike, extra speed and movement. And we're gonna come in hard on one location. Why one location? Because I think my plan here, because we're doing any means necessary, is we're loaded up with nuclear weapons. We're gonna send those weapons, we're gonna nuke this location and hopefully weaken the enemy fleet that is here. The galactic reputation, people will remember this, all right? This is gonna go in the book. All right, let's do it. As soon as they arrive, I want the nuke launched. I've already given the order. Let's also shoot some missiles that direction. The nuke is away. Watch the strength. Nuke's going off. And look at that fleet damage. Let's fire another nuke off before they arrive. Remember, nukes, they don't care on whose side you're on once they arrive. Their forces are starting to move, but the nukes hit. Some of the reinforcements did manage to launch. Let's fire off a few more missiles on this side. We are still evenly matched with reinforcements arriving. I might not. I know, we've hurt their force so badly with those nukes, so I think we're gonna handily win this. I will fire a few more missiles off. Enemy reinforcements are on the way. Even with those nukes, we're still just considered evenly matched, but I think we're about to morale break them. Fire off some more missiles, see if we can interrupt this a bit more. And with 47% of our fighting capability remaining, we did win a battle where we were outnumbered. You know, I should have done run them down, probably, because now that force is still there and it's probably gonna combine with whoever's nearby. So now that we own a few more systems, it's time, as we're talking with our command staff, to dig in. It's time to start producing the resources we need to survive. Now, this is one of the systems that we took. All these worlds are modifiable, but we can't build on all of them. Notice how only some of them say buildable, and some of them have text underneath them, like rare earth-rich minerals. All right, so Zoka 2A has a rocky terrain, which means that it has 20% chance to give us, or it'll give us 20% more rare earth minerals. But none of these worlds that we have taken right now, and they say this in the story as we're playing, are capable of really supporting human life. Some of them are buildable, sure, and we're going to build outposts on them. If we click this, this is how you build outposts on the ground. Also notice, we're missing technology for civilian outposts. This is what's gonna give us PopCap. It's actually gonna produce human beings. We're gonna actually have a substantial population moved in from the Sol system as we're just trying to survive. Well, if it's rare earth minerals that this place is gonna give us a bonus to, then why don't we build a industrial outpost? It'll cost us 550 in minerals, 90 in manpower, but we'll generate 60 minerals per turn, and 7 of the rare earth, which we have nothing coming in. Let's go ahead and build that. What about that other one? Well, we're definitely gonna use this up. So let's build, do we want a shipyard? Small military stronghold that enables unit construction for fleets and hiring of new admirals in order to perform new, yes. Let's get the shipyard and let's go down to Zoka 1, which has also got volcanic, increase on rare earth minerals, ooh. But our quest says we need to build 3 different non-civilian outposts. Well, all right then, I'll get the research station, only because you asked so nicely. So the Zoka system is set up. We have all 3 of those being constructed. Now, we haven't hit it yet, but there is a technology tree that I imagine might allow us to build on more of these hazardous worlds. We'll have to see. We can also build something called a command beacon. Now, let's zoom out. Let's see where this system is. Zoka's system is kind of core to all of our needs. It is our link to the Sol system heading back behind us. So I'm gonna go ahead and spend some resources building a command station. This will give us some defense stations in the area. This will also give us a larger garrison, I believe. Wonderful. Hey, look, we got some pluses on those numbers up there. PopCap is coming in. We've got, ooh, our happiness is kind of terrible. So, wonderful. We've managed to finish it up, and our fleets are in the region. Let's go ahead and end our turn and see what happens next. Turn 3. I love that they show you the icons for factions that you don't even know exists yet. Like, there's some of them in there. Our war with the clans continues. Oh, there are question marks down here. This is an area with a nebula, so we can't actually see the enemy strength in that area. Sir, the leadership of the 1st Expeditionary Fleet and the Al-Mustamara have established themselves here. What they're saying to us is, hey, we have a war council that we're establishing, and the European Union has a weird chain of command where they have each a military leader, right? Those 2 factions. But Our faction is led by civilian leadership, I guess, which is us, and we have sent over a person to kind of represent us, but we make the final decisions. And we're gonna be able to talk to every one of these individuals. They'll kind of give us the skinny on things and what they believe. Now remember, these two represent factions that are actually on the map, right? The North American Alliance and I don't remember who they are specifically, but we can now make a decision and that will affect our relationship with these factions. So if we agree with Admiral Reed that we should continue the work quickly, we need to get it done, and we need to get it done fast. We can't be non-aggressive on this. Then we will affect our relationship. The first expeditionary fleet will go up by 5, but our Darius relationship will go down, right? Same with this one. So we're gonna go with, I agree with Admiral Reed. We need to win this war quickly. Humanity can't be waiting around. This is our beachhead, and we don't have a world at the moment that can really support a large population. Sure, we can mine some of these worlds, but we can't set up an actual settlement. So we need to fight on, and that has set us up with destroy the Roar clan and hold the Zoka system and move further in the galaxy. And we haven't established where a world is that. Oh, we have technology as well because we just got our research outpost. There's a world somewhere that we should be able to colonize. But let's go into the tech tree. All right, one of the fun things about 4X games is tech tree because this is normally how you make your faction your own. And in a normal 4X game, you know, the story and the tech tree are kind of intertwined in your story of your faction. But this faction already exists, and it already has a story. It's a desperate one for humanity's survival. So how are you going to survive? How are you to keep humanity alive? And I kind of like this. Like, I love going to the end of the tech tree to see what you get. We could go for stuff like, you know, the Halstein flagship, right? The pinnacle of Zeus Link innovation. So some kind of massive capital ship. Or self-replicating nanobots, apparently. True AI. Or the Medusa strain, which is some kind of bioweapon if we go through bioengineering, which I imagine would harm your relationship with the other factions using bioweapons, right? That's pretty gnarly. But right now, we're just gonna go with the Pegasus Habitation Protocol. This will unlock the ability for us to get some settlements going. And then we'll have to figure out the rest as we go. What is this? The Hermes radar array. What does this do? It allows you to see fleets in neighboring nebula systems. Oh, that's quite nice because there's a nebula literally right here. Wait, right here, yeah. We also need to be careful because this is a barren. That's a barren system, that's what it is. There are certain systems, like here we go, hazardous barren, that's the one I was thinking of. This will do damage to us if we enter the system, and every turn we're there, we have to be careful about that. We have to know if we're going in there, we're gonna take damage. In my head, it's like micro meteorites maybe, or there's some kind of radiation that's damaging the starships that go through. But yeah, you have to be aware of it. Don't go in unless you know you're gonna outnumber the enemy substantially, because you're gonna take wounds when you go in there. So, all right, we need to kick the enemy out of this region. How big is the enemy fleets in the local area? Well, there's 153 fleet nearby, a 49, and then a garrison of 36. Sounds like a lot, and to be fair, it is a lot. But we've got 3 fleets, by the way, that are very close. One of them is a 229 strength fleet. We might do this. And we might go in... It's a tough one. How strong are you? You're actually pretty weak, but you're a hazardous bear, and we don't really want to... We also have our new fleets that have just come in. Well, let's do some more system upgrades real quick. For one, I'm gonna spend a little bit of resources upgrading our defenses. And let's... Natural beauty, what does that do? The landscape here is particularly beautiful, which increases the long-term happiness from any level of inhabitation here by 2. Oh, that's quite nice. Whoa, extraction here by 50% and 75 for rare earth minerals. Well, we know what we're gonna build here. We're gonna build up a industrial outpost for sure. That's 100% worth it. We're probably just gonna end up having a lot of industrial abundant rare earth minerals. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of these industrial outposts. It's gonna be eating up a lot of resources early on, but... So the bow system is located down in the south, and that's gonna be our primary objective. Problem being, we're already repairing one of our fleets, and we know the enemy has got a few ships in the way. Now, we got a couple of options here. We could try to come down into the nebula. Yeah, that's a weird one. I think we might go for the Nebula because we've got these fleets on standby, and maybe we can rotate them out. The enemy does have a sizable force here. I think we're gonna have to go all out just to make sure we get it done. Let's go, by any means necessary. Let's engage. Oh, you know what? Here's how we're gonna do this. We're gonna hit them all at once on one side. So to get over to the other side, we're gonna have to go through the sun. I think what we're gonna do is launch a nuke. While the fleet focuses on this section, we're gonna nuke the heck out of this orbit. And by any cost, we're gonna use up a little bit more minerals. Hopefully putting this, and we're gonna run them down. I don't want this troop to fall back, right? Look, the line went away, meaning we're gonna be stuck in this fight for longer, and we're gonna take more casualties. But if everything goes according to plan, this should decimate this enemy fleet. It's gonna really hurt our galactic reputation though. Let's see how it goes. Start the battle. As soon as you have the opportunity, I want you to launch 2 nukes. Nuke away. Fire missiles, fire missiles. Nuke is away. Look at the casualty rate over here. More nukes are arriving. Let's fire a nuke towards the orbital body in the center. The nuke should be already away. There's the hit. I poorly timed that. And then we'll fire some missiles here. All right, our fleet strength is at 95%, while the enemy is down to 33, but we're keeping them here with run them down. It increases our damage. It keeps them 25% longer in battle. Fire another missile because there's no reason not to. You can see our entire fleet strength here. I wonder how bad that's gonna hit us, because, yeah, look at our line. It's moved. It's moved quite a bit. Hopefully we won't have to pull out all the stops. The battle is won, and we have a route towards Bo. 2 routes, actually. Wow. They moved the garrison. They moved their fleet from Bo and engaged us, and I think they moved their fleet from one of the southern locations. And we're in the middle of repairing one of the fleets too? No, we moved them. We moved them. We didn't actually repair. All right, let's fight it. So they outnumber us. So when you're in defense, and I like that the AI is willing to attack, right? You can choose how you're spread out. Do you want to spread out into every location? Do you want to double down into 2? Do you want them to be interior systems or exterior? Where do you want to be located? I think we're going to do interior systems, maybe. No, let's do exterior. And we're going to do any means necessary and at any cost. We're going to do everything we can to do as much damage as we can to this fleet. All right, we don't want them to stay, though. We want to win this as quickly as possible. Because we're doing any means necessary, we're going to try to nuke them. We don't know where they're going to come from. Hopefully they come from multiple places. If not, we might be in trouble here. That actually puts us in a weird spot where it might be better to spread out. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it this way. The reason being, I need location to nuke. Oh, okay, so they're all coming in on one location. If they come out of their little jump, fire the nukes. Fire the nukes. This is your chance right now to decimate the enemy force before they arrive. Though the location is very far away, both nukes are on the route, and we hit for a ton of damage. Whoa. Now we have the opportunity to nuke one of the locations. We are losing this battle. I think we're gonna win the war, though. This is brutal. I'm doing it, though. I'm firing a nuke. Friendly forces are in the area, but I think this is the only way we're going to win it handedly. There it is. And the win is ours, but suffering is our galactic reputation. But we needed to save those lives for future engagements. They have to be badly wounded, right? Like, how big is that garrison? It's 100 garrison. And these 2 fleets are more or less kind of useless now. Let's start swapping fleets over. Like an 18 fleet isn't going to do us any good. Let's bring a 100 and a 49. Yeah, let's move you over. Let's move you over. Oh, you don't have a movement left. I want to get a little bit farther. I want to show some of the diplomacy and maybe get to the next chapter. And the war continues. Our allies have expanded. We've successfully occupied the Bo system. That should help our settling efforts. Certainly. Well, it turns out it's actually just desert, but it's habitable nonetheless. So our planet isn't super friendly to human life, but it's good enough. We've been contacted by another species, and everything about them is rather worrying. How come? It's an invitation to audience with a Tamanian Imperial representative. They've broadcasted it simultaneously on pretty much every frequency we use. That itself is a pretty respectable feat. So, we have run in to a new empire. We don't know their strength or their size. We don't know much about them. And we can choose right now. We can stall if we want to. This will hurt our galactic reputation. We can appear friendly and try to seem like we're not that big of a deal. Don't worry about us. This will increase our galactic reputation. But it'll hurt our reputation with the North American fleet, the first expeditionary fleet. We're gonna do this one because I want to get that galactic representation up a little bit. We're gonna try to seem like we're not that big of a deal, not that big of a threat. And we've sent our diplomat. And here are the bird people. Welcome, newcomer. It appears you've already translated the Malkish tongue since you replied to our invitation. Yes, we have. It is quite simple, actually, when we've grasped the basics. It is, though its expressive capabilities is thus quite limited. The Tamanian Empire welcomes you to this galaxy, trusting that you are here with friendly and peaceful intentions. We could have our diplomat decide. We could try to appease them. We could agree. I'll say agree. This is just kind of getting an idea of what the galaxy is like. This is our first contact. We don't know much about them. That's going to change. But our war continues with the Roe clan. They're still a threat, obviously. They've even taken some territory from us. We even have our fleets attempting their best to repair. Now we're under threat. We need to be careful. Oh, they've even introduced us to the fast travel system using energy networks to get around. What I'm gonna do is not wait around. We have a very strong fleet. More reinforcements have come through the Sol System gate, and we need to destroy the Roar clan. I am not waiting around. There's the engagement. This is one of their largest fleets. Look at who is set up along our border. So we've just gotten another audience with the Tamanian Empire. The war has been going with the Roe clan for a bit now, and it's gotten a little desperate. So if war comes, we'll have to win somehow. Not many other options. Basically, we're real worried about how this is going to, hopefully we can achieve something sometime. So we're going to try some diplomacy with them. Tamanian Empire, Empress. I've come here personally to tell you the hard truths very well. I do not know what you think of yourselves or your abilities. I cannot comprehend how you can think that you are able to challenge us or even just cause us mild trouble. This is the Tamanian Empire, the oldest, the strongest, the most advanced civilization this galaxy has ever seen. After gaining some free victories over rabble, grunts, you think yourself invisible. Try to explain. So basically, they're going to tell us, if you don't leave our system, we're going to kick you out of this galaxy. Now, we can't fall back. There is no chance. The situation is what it is. No use keeping it quiet. We're going to tell the population what's happening. That'll give us another admiral, extra population cap, and experience, which I'm for. I am definitely for. So, when we've continued our expansion, that kind of tipped our hand at the Tamanian Declaration of War. They've decided that we've got to go, and that begins Chapter 2, The Fires of Annabelle. Now, most of this has been, actually all of this has been fairly heavily scripted.
We didn't exactly arrive here quietly.
This war was going to happen no matter what.
But we were never seeking this, and it was only going to get worse. At Annabelle, we would see for good who were here to stay.
We've received reinforcements from Earth. Maybe we'll have enough to win at Annabelle. Now, Annabelle is where the enemy, the Empress, is forming up their entire attack force. We've gotten a little bit of information that maybe, even though they've been around for centuries, this empire, she has to show strength, and forming up her fleet beyond our border would be considered a sign of weakness, that she considers us an actual threat. That may very well be our only opportunity to cut the head off the snake, as it were, and attack their formation at Annabelle. Now, Annabelle's located where? Right here. We need to make it down there. We're gonna have to cut through Bow again. Sadly, we did lose it. But thankfully, the fleets have arrived. And in a sign of cooperation, I'm gonna bring back this wounded fleet. In a sign of cooperation, the North American Alliance, right, the first expeditionary force, has actually given us command over their two major fleets. This is the best we've got for combat, and they're here to help us. So we're gonna move them out this turn. and we're gonna use them to punch through. Now, what I'd love to do is use my normal fleets to break through the line. I don't know if I've got the capability to do this. I really don't. Everybody is so badly wounded, I just don't have the force strength necessary. And my other fleets are very badly damaged. I mean, I do have one. Can you get down there? Okay, so I've got the 266 fleet, which might be able to break, yeah, they're able to break a hole through if I had the fighting strength necessary. So next turn, our new fleets move out. Can you not repair it all? Oh, it's the fancy minerals. I don't have those. All right, with the wrap up of this turn, our main quest is to get our fleet at Vera to get prepared for the assault on where the Empress is. If we zoom out, we can now see how big the Empire actually is, and we are in a fight with what was like 9 centuries that this Empire has been around. We do have a silly conflict going on in an area that I'm not overly concerned about right now. Let's just auto this fight. We need to save up our resources, so hurry up. Damn it. Retreat. Confirm. Go ahead and get out of there. We'll deal with them in a moment. Okay, it is time. Our largest fleet is on the move. I'm sending the rest of our forces as well. The battle for our staging post. The enemy is hyper-focused on one area, so let's go ahead and just hammer them. Missiles away. Our entire fleet in one system. Fire off a few more missiles. And there's victory. We own our staging post. We should be able to jump over now and attack the Empress herself. Let's see how it goes. We'll find out soon indeed. So they've already set up our battle. I think our battle plan is going to be engage all of them at once as best we can. Keep them busy. All means necessary. Add any damage. That's why I saved up the points. The battle has begun. Here we go. Look at the size of this fleet. Evenly matched in a few regions. If we're handedly losing any of the battles, I'm going to launch missiles. And we are indeed. Fire the nuke. It must be done. The nuke is away. There's the detonation. Can't imagine we're gonna win this battle. Actually, we're winning this one. I just launched the nuke at it. Oh, crap. Victory imminent on this side. We just about have them at the retreat point. There it is. We've managed to... Uh-oh. What? The planet has detonated. Something has gone awry. Or, well, I guess it all depends on how you see it. It is now a smoldering husk.
At that moment, we thought we had won, that we had everything under control. But we had set off a chain reaction inside the planet. We tried to pull the landing force back. It was too late.
They had a shield system that has interacted with our weapons in some way. There's going to be some conversation about whether or not this was the plan all along. But what's really interesting about this is the fact that, and I'm just going to go ahead and end the turn here.
4 days after Annabelle, the planet was still burning.
Oh,
but the consequences.
I even got achievement for being a nemesis this time.
We were desperate to achieve at least something, and fast. So when we finally got here, we came in with force and very little patience.
Now, no matter what you do, that is going to happen. But what happens next is very much, I think, up to the player. We can't handle... Oh, man, we knew the shield system was powered by the planet's core and overwhelmed it. So we could say that was all part of the plan, or we could say it was a surprise. It'll hurt our happiness. I'm gonna go with surprise, though I don't think that's a good idea because my happiness is so wounded as it stands. Let's take a look at the galactic map as we go through these. And I do recommend reading through this for the first time, though there are lots of options of what you can say. At this point so far, as much as I've played, I haven't seen them actually affect the storyline. We will go ahead and click this. And the beginning of chapter 3. So with the Dominion campaign continuing, though, in disarray, and our ability to hold them back,
we made it surprisingly easily.
and I'm gonna go ahead and skip this so you can see it yourself if you decide to play the game. But things have changed considerably in the galaxy with the death of the Empress. If we look at the map now, look at all the factions. 9 centuries, we showed up and we ruined everything, or at least upset the balance of power. There's a vacuum now and everyone's trying to dive and grab onto it. I find this kind of interesting. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about having a single, like a main story instead of having events shape and choices that I make shape the story. And though I feel like I'm affecting the story here and there with how I go about doing things, there's definitely a tale that they want to tell of humanity's survival. So, let me know what you think in the comments below about having a scripted story built into a 4X game. That's kind of interesting. All right, and everybody, if you enjoyed the video, you guys know what to do. Thank you so much for joining me when we play some space games, modding community here on the channel. If you're new around here, I will see you all in the next one. Later, everybody.